So we know President Biden has been in touch with Ukrainian President Zelensky overnight. He also blasted Putin for choosing a, quote, premeditated war. I mean, what else is the White House saying? What do they have planned for today? What's the next step here in terms of sanctions?
Well, it's obviously been a very tense night and a tense start to this day. So the president has been getting updates from his top national security team. That has been going on. And, of course, Volodymyr Zelensky reached out to the president and he asked for help getting the international community to support Ukraine. And so the president did have a conversation with him. We know that the president will also be speaking with G7 leaders this morning. That's critical because getting everyone on the same page, and there's been a lot of unity with the U.S. and European allies so far, getting them to be ready for this next set of steps will be critical. Obviously, this is Europe's backyard, and so having them coming together with one voice is certainly critically important at this point. So what we expect is the president, with his intelligence, will be getting assessments about what has been happening on the ground, sharing that and comparing that with the European leaders and the G7 partners who will also be getting their information coming in, putting that together in this meeting this morning. Then the president will address the public, the American people, and that's where we expect to hear about this next level of sanctions. And there are certainly many calls from the political world for the president to go to the full extent of sanctions. We've been asking those questions. How far will these sanctions go? And we don't yet know how far the president is prepared to go. But he has said that there should be very stiff, very costly, very painful economic and really exclusion from the world community level sanctions against Vladimir Putin for these actions. So we are checking in with White House officials. Obviously, there have been people who've been up all night. The Situation Room remains active through the night and allowing the president to get information from all different sources and to be in touch with the Pentagon and with State Department and certainly all the key players around the world. And so that meeting this morning with the G7 is critical. And then finding the right words to address the American people. The president's talked about Ukraine a couple of times now. Now some of the predictions and the intelligence that he warned about is real. It is happening. It is unfolding. And for the president to explain what comes next, what some of the realities for the American people will be, what some of the requests of the American people will be, that's really what will be a real test for the president today. Joe, Savannah?
Kelly, do we get an idea of if the president and if the West has any worries about Belarus as well, and whether some sanctions could also be directed there because of any role they've played in helping Russia with all this?
Well, we've seen that Belarus has been really in league with Russia. They are independent, but there is a partnership between their president and Vladimir Putin. We've seen already some sanctions levied against at least one bank in Belarus. How much more will go is unclear to me right now, but certainly that would be within the realm of possibilities. And certainly the officials who are looking at ways to try to respond to this will do so. We saw in the first tranche of sanctions that it was targeting those first two areas that Vladimir Putin had identified as now separate entities. So they were trying to target there. So it certainly stands to reason that Belarus would also be in the crosshairs for additional sanctions. Some have already been included in terms of, again, trying to cripple the financial abilities of these countries, their powerful oligarchs, their financial systems, those kinds of things. So we're seeing some of that happening already. How broad it will be one of the questions we'll be following.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.